Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Cantina Corner podcast, where we are going to be discussing something that just came up in the news that is Star Wars related, specifically to the Mandalorian show on Disney Plus. This just happened about a day or two ago, as far as the information that came out, and we wanted to hit on this just so that we can give our reactions, opinions, thoughts on what's going to be happening now that we know this information, what's going to make change with the show, all those different things. So we just wanted to get that going. This is going to be kind of a short and sweet episode, nothing too long. Just wanted to touch on it while it was still, fresh and new, and just give you our thoughts on what we think is going to happen or how we think it went down. So yeah, we have myself, Adam, we have Cody, we have Nick. You guys say hello.
Hi.
Yo.
There we go. Short and sweet, like I said.
Yep.
All right, so we are going to be getting into this. If you don't know, right now, like I said, recently within the past 24 to 48 hours, a news story broke about the Mandalorian show, specifically dealing with one character, which was the Cara Dune character. I know her name is Gina. Correct me, guys. What was her last name? Gina who?
I'm not good with the last name.
I'm not either.
Okay, well, it's Gina,
like
but if you know,
Carano or Carani or something like that.
Something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, something like that. I would probably would have butchered it anyway if I didn't say it properly. But yeah, she has been officially fired from the show, and that's why we wanted to do this. We were actually going to record tomorrow about WandaVision, but this popped up, so we wanted to touch on this.
Carano.
Um, Garano,
Carano.
Carano. Okay, so it's Gina Carano, who
Yep.
plays Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, and we just wanted to talk about it because she was just officially fired from the show over some controversy on things that she posted on the internet, as opposed, on Twitter, and being vocal about her opinions about things that were going on actually in the real world, politically and personal with regular people. So I just wanted to go over with these guys and see how we thought about it. So, first initial reactions. I mean, what do you guys think about this as far as how it went down, and were you surprised by this happening?
Can't say surprised by how Disney is. I mean, yeah, I can't say surprised, but it was like, and Cody had sent me a story. I think it was either last night. I think it might have been last night, and in it said she had tweets and or social media posts about like, I know this isn't verbatim, but like basically denigrating people's religion and uh some about their race and stuff like that. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to see exactly what she said because you see a lot of this stuff and it always turns out to be. I shouldn't say always turns out to be, but it turns out to be just something stupid. And then yeah, you look at the post she had, and it's just kind of like it was not even close to what was being talked about.
Nope. It was a
Yeah.
factual statement, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I would agree as well. And I know the main post that what they're focusing on is to like the main reason as to why she was fired. It wasn't the only post that she made. And of course, when you're dealing with the media and social media and any type of other news outlet, they're going to focus on the most prominent one that's going to, fit the narrative of what, they're trying to say is the reason as to why. And I mean, she was vocal for a long time. I mean, I said, if correct me if I'm wrong, I know that she was doing these posts um, pretty frequently while The Mandalorian season two was like actively running. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
when it started, and people were hemming and hawing about it. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I don't know about you guys. Like, did you guys follow it as it was happening?
no, I didn't pay no more attention to her talking about that stuff as much as the other people in Hollywood talking all the negative things they do daily about, Trump and his supporters either. I kind of tune out both sides of it. So,
Yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't even know that there was a controversy until this, which I read that she was warned about it before. But
yeah, she had tweeted about, I think some stuff I read about the election she was tweeting. And then she was joking around about how people put pronouns in their bios.
yeah,
And she did those like beep, boop, boop,
beep boop
bop,
pop.
which, I mean, it is funny,
It's
but
hilarious.
it is hilarious, really.
yeah. I would say it was because I like what I just asked. I mean, I knew that she was saying this stuff as the show was going on, so I knew that there was some buildup with this. I didn't think that it was going to get her fired because I didn't think that like it was going to escalate the way that it did. And I think the reason why they're focusing on this specific post, which I'm going to get into now, um, where basically she was as they're stating it, in quotations, she compared what was happening politically to, politically to conservative side of things, Republican, conservative, whatever, on the, right wing side of things, to what happened in the Holocaust. And there was like no like in the middle information that they said. They were just like, she just said this was like this, and it's like, well, no, that's not exactly what she said. I get where you could like maybe think like that, but that's not what she was getting at, and that's where it like derailed. And I think that was the icing on the cake as to why they finally were like, you're done, like we're gonna let you go.
I wouldn't even say derailed. I think it was disingenuous on their part. It was pretty obvious the comparison she was making.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't denigrating anybody for being Jewish or anything like that. Or, I mean, honestly, I think honestly it was more being disingenuous than like, something that got out of control. I think it was just, yeah, because literally she was just saying, you keep treating your neighbors just because they have a different political belief. And honestly, the post doesn't even technically talk about conservatives and right wingers being, the ones always persecuted or whatnot. It's obviously implied because of the climate we've been in for the last 4 years. But she was basically just saying, just because somebody has a different political belief, you keep treating them as if they're not humans. That's a slippery slope to what we've seen in the past. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally what she was saying.
Yeah, and just to give context, if no one knows what we're talking about as far as like the main thing that they're focusing on, I actually want to read the actual picture quote that she shared out, which was what they're toting as the reason they fired her. And the picture shows a war picture from back in World War II, dealing with like Nazi Germany and the Jewish conflict and everything with that. And in quotations it says, not, this wasn't her handwriting, this was just the picture she shared with the quote in it. She's in the quote, it says, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? And the reason she shared that, from what I understand and how I took it, and what she, from what I've heard, that she's actually said, but they've, silenced it and removed it when she tried to defend her statement before the actual official firing happened, is that she was trying to compare not the fact of what was happening now to the actual genocide and murder of all the Jews from World War II, but the fact of the brainwashing that the German side of things were basically brainwashing, saying Jews are bad, you should hate them just for that, period, point blank, no matter what you think. And she was comparing that to the liberal side of politics and the current state of our political climate, basically saying that the liberal side says that if you're Republican, you're bad. Everyone should think that the Republicans are bad. The conservative views are bad, and that's what she was trying to get at. Is that there's no compromise. They were just being silenced just because of their beliefs and who they were, and that's what she was trying to say. But they just wiped all that out and just said, she said it's like the Holocaust, and it's like, no, that's a blanket statement. That's not what she meant, from my understanding.
No, it's not. I think you're dead on with that. I think that's exactly what she meant. I mean, and it's true. We just talked about it before this. World War II is where propaganda really became like front and center, a tool for governments to use to manipulate and get things done that they wanted done. Um, I mean, we saw these. America saw it and saw how effective it was, and effectively created the CIA to continue it here. If you want to get even more factual about it,
I mean,
Yeah.
shit. The whole Iraq and Afghanistan, that was all fucking
all
propaganda.
propaganda.
I mean, it's the only reason we're there and still there. So,
But I just, my biggest issue with this will always be hypocrisy. I've been talking about it on social media today. And I told Nick, I heard a quote today on the radio that I think stands strong. Never underestimate how much people love to hate other people. We're not too far off from, yeah, we're not too far off from what happened in Germany with the Nazis. I mean, 60 some years ago. Well, 80 some years ago now. It's 2020.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we political violence all last year. How many times
Yeah.
did NT clash with different groups that were quote unquote Trump supporters? Maybe not some of them were fully aligned with it, but we've seen political violence all last year.
Yeah.
There was deaths, during all that, and that was small scale compared to what it could be.
And if we're going to be fair about it, those people didn't hesitate to compare Trump to Hitler, which I think is massively disrespectful to people
Yeah.
who dealt with the genocide out there. Um, I dealt with some people on social media talking about how Trump put kids in cages when he didn't. Doesn't matter who put them in the cages. Either way, um, comparing people coming into our country and putting them in a holding facility because they're kids and they're alone to people trying to escape and flee a genocide and a Holocaust is completely.
You can't compare it.
Yeah, I think that's disrespectful in itself. If you want to talk about disrespectful and abhorrent things, and then also like an absolute direct comparison that I don't think anybody's bringing up. It wasn't not even a year ago where Disney was praising China for letting them use, an area of their country where they literally have concentration camps for Muslims.
Yep.
Right now. It's going on right now. And Disney thanked them for letting them come in and their hospitality, letting them stay in the area. And that was for the Mulan movie that they made. They had some backlash for that. I didn't see anybody get fired or anything for that.
Nope.
But she's making if you want to call it a comparison to the propaganda, not the Holocaust, but the propaganda aspect of it, it is. I mean, big tech runs social media. They do have their views, and if they don't like them, they are going to silence you or censor you. And these people who get all worked up about it, it tends to be the left side, they think they're doing such a righteous thing, canceling her, instead of actually carrying on what's going on in the world today. Like we talk about all the time, Yemen. What's been going on in Yemen for years since George Bush was in office. What's going on in China. And nobody cares to take action and step up on social. Could you imagine if like Americans actually started saying shit about that on social media, trying to get that to change and bringing that to the forefront of the world? Instead, we're going to care about some actor or actress's career. Like
some words that she posted hurt their feelings so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It just still surprises me to this day that people still have that mental capacity to fall in line with the fact of, you shouldn't be able to say that, even though it's true. It's offensive. It's so disingenuous to those people who had to deal with that. You don't know what that was like. You're right. I don't know what it was like. But what she's saying is fact, and if we keep erasing and editing that history, it's just going to repeat itself.
Yeah, and another thing, when you're talking about offensive, which is actually great because I wanted to talk on that, is like, for instance, I won't even state where this article's coming from because I know people get so up in arms when you say this is where I got the article from. You know what? Screw that. I will say where it's from. Just
find citing sources. Why not?
Well, I know, but people get so I don't want to say. Not to sound like ignorant, but
exactly what we're talking about. Offended.
Yeah, offended. So right here on CNN, because it was the top article on Google when I typed in, Gina.
CNN, dude.
Gina Carano getting fired. That was the top article, so I picked it, and the header of it says Lucasfilm fires the Mandalorian star Gina Carano after offensive social media posts. Now the issue I have when everyone cancels over these things that they consider offensive, the problem is that they're not allowing everyone to come into the conversation of what is offensive. They're directing the narrative of what is offensive.
Of course.
And that's the problem. Because if you were to go out and say, I think that the left side of things is offensive, or I think this is offensive, 99% of the time it ain't going to get taken down or get taken seriously. Because that's, these outlets and everything, they are very left side of things. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's just fact. Like, I mean, you can look into all these people who own these companies, they side with the left. That's not me being biased, that's just a fact. And when you think of that, it's like, well, what's offensive? Like anything could be offensive. But why is it always, if you look at the statistics and the history of what's been going on recently, it's always one-sided as to what's offensive and what's not. And that's the problem. It's like, one side is not allowed to say, well, why is your shit not offensive? And the other side says that anything I say you're offensive is concrete and solidified. End of story. Like, no discussion. And that's the problem. I wish there was more of a, like, even keel when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like, if say she's getting silenced, but then there's tons of people on the other side getting silenced, fine. Then there's a back and forth, but it's completely one-sided.
I agree, especially when a director for one of your franchise movies makes quite a few jokes about sexually assaulting little boys. You fire him, like personally, yeah, okay. You fired him. The shit he said was fucked up. I can understand that. To rehire him then, and him go on this apology tour, but then you're gonna fire someone who's stating something, a historical fact. There's a total disconnect.
Yeah, and another thing too, when I'm talking about the hypocrisy of not being like even, you look at, and as much as I love Pedro Pascal, I love his character in the show, and all those things. I love Mandalorian. She gets canned because of the things that she said and posted. But then you have Pedro Pascal posting a picture, almost comparing the same two things, but in a different sense,
Way
where
worse.
It's way
yeah,
worse. Yeah.
he posts a picture about like, oh, he shows a picture right at the top, and it's a montage of picture to picture, and it's concentration camp showing Jews behind a fence, and then right underneath it says 2018, and it shows people being held in cages because of illegal immigration, which it I won't even get into that because
That's a whole nother broken system that people also don't want to like look at things and what needs to be fixed, which creates this whole other issue of what the picture is.
exactly. And Pedro hasn't been fired. Pedro hasn't, been chastised or anything for the comparison that he made. As much as I love the guy, I'm looking at this from like an even lens here, no bias, no nothing. And it's like you compared the same thing about another topic. You used World War II and the Jewish genocide to that. And I had a conversation with someone about that today, where I was like, that comparison is just as bad because you're basically saying like, oh yeah, that's still bad, but it's like, okay, well these people were being gassed, murdered, and corralled and trying to be eradicated. Yes, people being held in cages is horrible. I do think that that's horrible, but they're not being gassed, murdered, and eradicated. They're
And
just they're being detained.
they're not trying to leave our country and we're putting them in cages. They're trying to come in for the opportunity, and
Yeah,
they're
but
just making
there's
things are right. Like
yeah, but there's a difference. We're not murdering them.
yeah, exactly. It's the situation when he posts is not even comparable. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's why I don't understand that like she gets burned for it and his is whatever. It's a buy. And I
You know why it is though, honestly, if we're being real, it's
yeah,
because he has his pronouns in his bio. He's paying fealty to this type of thinking, this thought process. This it's part of the woke ideology and all this. Since he has his as stupid as it sounds, he has his pronouns in his bio. That's him paying fealty to it, so he can do these things and say it, and he gets a pass because he's an ally.
and not to mention he's also the star. He's the star of the show. And I mean, you can get rid of a side character like her, but you get rid of him, the whole thing's scrapped.
Yeah.
That's not well. That okay, yeah. Because I was gonna say they did just cut Roseanne right out, but yeah, the show only did go on, and I know it hasn't been.
Yeah. you know,
They they aren't necessarily hesitant to cut the star if they need to. They will do it.
what's funny too is I don't know if he'll ever be in the show again or if his role is done, but Bill Burr was in The Mandalorian, and Bill Burr is known for saying controversial shit. And I
All the
know
time.
comedians are put on a different pedestal, and I honestly truly believe they should because that is
Oh
their
yeah.
job. And I think it's the only time people are real to the fact that, okay, in a comedy way, some of this stuff is more, I don't want to say acceptable, but you can get past the fact that, all right, we're just making a joke, we're moving on. But like if you're not a comedian and you say something that's controversial, there's no way of getting around it. You're unacceptable. You're chastised and canceled. And it's
Wrong.
just like you were saying earlier, and it just reminded me of that Tom Holland or Tom McDonald. What's his fucking name? That rapper.
Not McDonald.
Tom McDonald just put out that fake woke song, and in
Yeah.
there he has the line that says, "There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate." I think this is an exact correlation to what he was saying. There's people that hate what she said, but it's not hate speech. There's nothing abhorrent about what she said. It's just people, and this is a quote from Floyd Mayweather of all fucking people.
Yep.
People tend to run away from the truth. People don't like it when truth is up in their face, and that's why I think a lot of people didn't like Trump and other politicians who continue to speak truth, like Tulsi Gabbard. She became a Russian bot because she talked about, when I got to Washington, it was way more corrupt than I thought it was in terms of, you better vote party line or you're out. When it's supposed
Yep.
to be this whole soup bowl of people working together from different sides of the aisles, discussing things and working shit out, and it's just not like that at all.
No, it's not. And I mean, it's the old saying: if you don't get in line, you're out.
Yeah.
If you're not in with the program, you're out. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't have no use for you. And it just it's insane. It's insane. And I've been talking about this with politics, not even just this situation in general, but this is just like a snippet of things attached to everything that's going on. It's just there's so much hypocrisy right now. It sickens me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even like personally, yes, I have my views one way or the other, but as a whole right now, like in the current situation, as of this moment, I'm sick of it all.
Yep.
Because it's just a joke.
Well, I mean, this is how fascism starts. It's literally the suppression of the second major party. I mean, that's literally like the definition of fascism is one party suppressing the thoughts and ideas of the other party to gain control, whether it be military force or now, honestly, the social media is just as powerful tool
Oh
as
yeah,
the military. It
that's
really
this.
is.
This is something I talked to my dad about because he's all for he wants like bloody civil war and all this.
Yeah, I know
stupid.
he does.
That's the only way to get past this, and I'm like, no, there's people are more peaceful than the most peaceful than they've ever been at any time in our history, and that's why propaganda has become such a huge tool in
Mm-hmm.
this. Like you said, World War II is about the turning point. There's still a lot of death and whatnot in the latter half of the 20th century, but really since then you've seen it turn to where propaganda is a huge it's
Yeah.
immensely powerful tool governments use more so than outright coercion and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not trying to say that's when propaganda started because it's been around for fucking
No,
forever.
it
But
was
that's
rational.
where they really found the
Yeah.
effectiveness and how if you're pounded, I mean, think about how many times you're pounded by ads for certain things until you break down. You're like, yeah, I really could use that. Like it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So
I, I don't know. I mean, it's just the continuation of the cancel culture that we're seeing, if I can say the word right. It's the continuation of that, where literally, if one side doesn't agree with the views, which has been very one-sided as to see who's getting canceled right now, it's been all conservative, and you can't
yeah,
deny that. Like, I don't care where you draw the line or what party you are in or whatever, you cannot deny the facts that it has been heavily, I won't say 100, I'll say 99% one-sided on who's getting canceled, who's getting fired, who's getting shut down. I mean, you just for example, and take it for what you will. If you get upset, I really don't care because it is what it is. For example, you look at back when Trump won the election. The liberal left side of things said it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. It was messed with, it's rigged.
4 years
Then
said it
for
was
four
rigged.
years, and then their person wins. Whatever. Biden gets in, and then we say the same thing, and they're calling us crazy, and then they're removing tweets, they're doing all that. None of that happened when they were saying that stuff. None of it was silence. There was no talk about this. There was no cancel. There was no silence. There was no censorship. Twitter and Facebook had nothing to do with it. There was no problem. The minute it gets flipped, it's a complete 180, and you cannot deny that. If you tell me that I'm wrong, I will pull it all up for you. I will show you. I will gladly show you. You can call me. I don't care. Like it's so.
I don't know if we'll get into it in our next current events podcast. I would imagine we'll get into it in deeper detail, but the goddamn Time magazine article, they literally told you exactly that they were doing
yeah,
that,
we'll
that they
break
were
that down.
doing things. But yeah, we'll get deeper into that, more
Yeah,
detailed. But
Yeah,
yeah, they literally tell you too. So if you don't want to believe it, they told you.
yeah. And I
and
tend to get called right wing a lot, and what you just described and how the left was attacking it being rigged when Trump won, and now it's literally flipped the opposite. Me and Nick have talked about this a lot. It's more and more becoming more and more evident to me that Trump was basically a puppet to for the Democratic Party to gain more power. Not saying that he was put in. I mean, he's been a Democrat his whole life up until this point,
Yeah.
yeah,
and just the mental seismic fucking twist that has happened to this country in 4 years is insane. I mean, it's a rapid thing I've never seen before. And the whole, oh, we're rebuilding America now because of the insurrection and everything. I think that's just more. I think Trump was just a 4 year propaganda spill so they could flip everything that they wanted. But we
He
can
was
get into that later.
psyop to put the whole, at least whatever population they could capture under some weird psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trump's
I mean,
a piece of shit. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much the synopsis of it. I mean, I don't really know. There's not much more we can go into this because if we talk any more into it, we're just going to derail into a lot of more political things
yeah.
because it's such a small, just like, one-shot story. But we just wanted to touch on it because we do love the Mandalorian. We love the show. This is what our podcast is about. We love talking about this stuff. This is all in our Discord. Everything that we cover. And that's why we wanted to touch on it, but it's just something to think about. And this is pretty much going to wrap up what we're talking about. But think about it. I mean, really do your research and think about what you're looking at and what's happening.
I got a thing for you too. I got a question for you guys because I don't have it, so I'm curious for you guys.
Okay.
Would this be something as if you didn't need to cancel your Disney Plus over them praising the people slaughtering your Muslims? But is this something that would make you guys think about it?
No.
You would still support these people openly, even though they hate you?
Support them? I mean, I don't think my $70 a year is really going to hurt them or support them either way. I get the principal thing that you're talking about, but...
Contributing to... Curious.
To me, yeah, the entertainment value that I'm getting out of it is worth more.
Your $70 not still at all is all, what is the saying? A snowflake doesn't blame itself for the avalanche. Your $70 not, you're still, part of that. So I'm just curious.
No, I mean you have a very valid point. I would say that someone can call me a hit.
Lesser of you two if you don't cancel.
I'm being dead honest with you. No, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite about it. No, I'm not gonna cancel it.
I won't cancel because I still want to see the Star Wars entertainment. I still want to see the story. Someone can call me a hypocrite for it. That's fine because
I can criticize the way a business does their plan and still. I mean, I criticize the fucking Indians and the Browns for how many years. I still go to games.
Yeah, but they're not committing genocide or praising people that do. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say Disney itself is. Are they complicit in it? Maybe.
100%.
But that's a different podcast, brother.
But it's also
good comparison.
The last thing I'll say too is it's like it's also trying to put in like I'm still gonna go get gas because I need to get gas for my car, but it doesn't mean that I support a war for oil. You know what I mean? I still have to function in society and do certain things. Doesn't mean I support it, but like I'm still gonna go about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's a little bit different, in a different sense, but that's kind of how I approach it.
You see this flag I got behind me, bro? You think I'm canceling Disney Plus? No. Do I think she got wrongfully fired? Yes. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's the world we're going to live in. We can either get used to it or fucking get left behind.
Yeah, I don't want to get used to it. I'm not looking for...
But
I mean...
Good re-education camps.
The last thing I'll say to close it out, I mean, the clothes we wear, the things we eat, anything you do in this world, there's someone that's getting hurt or screwed over or fucked by what we do. You can't pinpoint it to one thing.
Exactly.
You would literally.
That's exactly what cancel culture tries to do.
Yeah.
They tried to cancel Thanksgiving because of the Pilgrims, bro.
Yeah. And I mean, you literally have to live off the grid and live by your own means to actually be morally sound if that's the way you want to do it. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm not going to do that.
Not either. They'll just Waco your ass if you try to do that.
True that. All right, to end this, predictions. Does she get hired back after this backlash?
No. Disney don't give a fuck.
I think there's a chance.
No, she's not going to come back unless there's a huge downfall of Disney Plus subscribers and a boycott of the show, which is their main money grab right now because of what happened with the last trilogy that they made with Star Wars. I don't see it happening.
The only reason I say there is a chance is because they hired James Gunn back, and his thing was a million times worse.
Yeah, but they've got a history of hiring pedos and convicted, child sex abuse.
I agree.
They don't really have a history of hiring people back that, make actual factual historical comparisons.
We shall see what happens.
Not to mention, look what happened with Johnny Depp. It was proven that he wasn't in the wrong, and they're still not going to bring him back.
Yeah.
So, case in point right there.
How do you lose that court case, too, by the way?
I have no idea.
That blows my mind.
You probably
pockets, man.
I mean, that girl sat up there and smirked as she was talking about the shit.
Yep. They had
It's
audio
fucked
and everything.
up.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It's easier for him to burn.
Hashtag me too. He should tweet that. That'll get people pissed.
Yeah. Hashtag Depp too.
Sounds like a movie title.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, all right. I'll let you finish it
Yeah.
out.
But yeah, just think about those things, people. As always, like we talked about before, we do have a Discord now. We've been reworking it hardcore. We just did another overhaul this morning. As of 2/11/2021, this morning there was a huge overhaul with a lot of cool features in there. You could hunt for Pokemon in here. You could battle for Pokemon in here. You could talk about everything that we just talked about. Now you can listen to music while you're in this Discord. I mean, it's only
Yep.
going to get better from here. We've got more things in the works, and we've got a great mind behind all of this. So I'm
Yep.
going to
Shout out
I'm
to
going
Sean.
yeah, shout out to Sean. Sean is the man. He's been doing a lot of behind the scenes work. We're going to make sure that we give him homage in this moving forward. But check out the Facebook page, check out the Discord. If you have any confusion with the links, instead of me telling you, because it's a lot to actually say, go to the Facebook page, Cantina Corner. Make sure you check that out, and
Subscribe to the YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe to the YouTube. We got that as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This was short and sweet. And we're going to be doing WandaVision tomorrow. So the new episode's out, episode 6. So in the evening, we're going to post that. So it should be up at least tomorrow night, if not Saturday, first thing in the morning. And look forward to that. And we will catch you next time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Peace.
take it easy.